It's not just the personalities, but the pathology, not just the row, but the reflection on what happens when an institution under pressure begins to buckle inwards. And the BBC, that great British behemoth, a British public service broadcasting, now finds itself not simply weathering political winds or cultural malcontent, but facing something arguably more corrosive internal breakdown. Allegations of bullying at the very top of its flagship morning breakfast show. The headlines are there. The BBC breakfast presenter Naga Munchetty, the senior long-standing figure of the corporation, is reportedly barely speaking to her editor Richard Frediani. And the term bullying has been used. It's there in a number of reports, not lightly, and not, it seems, for the first time. Allegations span back to his tenure at ITN, with claims of shouting, intimidation, in one case even physically manhandling someone during a newsroom exchange. Munchetty, along with her co-presenter Charlie State, is said to be in open conflict with Frediani, and the picture painted is bleak. WhatsApp groups ablaze, formal complaints submitted, on-air professionalism barely masking off-air estrangement. And what we're witnessing is not simply a clash of personalities, but an institutional fraying. This isn't unusual when stress accumulates, as with failing governments, imploding businesses or collapsing schools. The immediate tension may not lie with external forces, but how internal pressure is handled or mishandled. And Frediani, we're told, is a man of high standards with editorial clarity. But what price do such virtues carry when they are manifest through volatility? Are high expectations an excuse for hostile management? Or is this a case of a strong editor being undermined by prima donnas on the screen? Either narrative, if taken in isolation, misses a deeper question. Why does this keep happening? If we zoom out, the BBC is undergoing what might be described as a slow structural unravelling. And funding cuts, digital competition, political scrutiny. It's a perfect storm. The internal review on BBC workplace culture, prompted by the scandals of Tim Westwood, Hugh Edwards, Giovanni Pernice, they're set to be published imminently, but while public attention is often drawn to the high-profile faces, the underlying issues are cultural, not cosmetic. Is the Munchetty-Frediani fallout just the tip of a larger iceberg? When industries are in crisis, stress emerges in unexpected places. Insecure budgets produce insecure people. Leadership gaps become power vacuums. Under those circumstances, ambition becomes aggression, assertiveness becomes abuse. And the question is no longer did someone shout, but what structures were in place to ensure shouting wasn't the only language spoken. The BBC prides itself on being more than just a broadcaster. It sees itself as a cultural guardian. But culture begins within. If its internal culture cannot uphold dignity, fairness and professionalism, then its external product, news, analysis and storytelling, loses moral authority, becomes a stage set, not a standard bearer. Moreover, you have to consider the optics. Naga Munchetty, a woman of colour, speaking openly about the treatment of colleagues. Tina Daheley, another high-profile woman of colour, quietly stepping away from presenting duties after being excluded from a press release. Patterns matter. Intention may be disputed, impact cannot be. What are we to make of it all? Is this a case of egos gone awry, or of a workplace in which old management styles have not kept pace with contemporary expectations of respect, collaboration and inclusion? And perhaps the better question is this: can an institution still burdened by hierarchical elitism, reactive HR and the pressure to appear infallible actually reform? Or does it need to crumble further before rebuilding? The BBC has, in recent years, weathered many storms, from political attacks to platform irrelevance, but the most dangerous threat it faces is internal entropy. What happens off-air between colleagues is just as important as what happens on-air between presenter and public. And in the end, workplace culture is like broadcast lightning. It can expose as much as it conceals. If the BBC is serious about being a force for truth and trust, then it must start with the people under its own roof. And that includes listening, and really listening to the likes of Munchetty and others, and even those whose conduct is under question. Anything less is merely good optics and bad practice.